The air in the Manhattan federal courtroom grew heavy, heavy with unspoken words, heavy with anticipation. Then she spoke. Victim 4, her identity shielded, her voice perhaps trembling, took the stand on Tuesday, May 27, 2025. The world, or at least the part of it following this high-profile trial, leaned in. Sean Combs, Diddy, the man of music empires and flashing lights, sat there, listening. The allegations were stark, they were brutal, drugging, sexual assault. Not once, she said, but on multiple occasions. This wasn't just another headline, this was a human being detailing experiences that could shatter anyone. The silence in the room must have been deafening, broken only by her testimony. Imagine the courage it takes to walk into that room, to face the accused, to recount moments of profound violation. Victim 4's testimony painted a grim picture, alleging a pattern of abuse. The specifics of the time frame when these alleged horrors occurred began to fill in the troubling narrative that has been slowly emerging. Each word she uttered added another layer to the complex and disturbing case against one of the music industry's most recognizable figures. This wasn't about music charts or business deals anymore. This was about fundamental human dignity and the devastating impact of alleged predatory behavior, a story far too common, yet shocking every single time it comes to light. The accusations are not new in their nature, but delivered from a witness stand, under oath. They carry an undeniable weight. The prosecution is building its case, and Victim 4 is a central part of that. Her detailed account of being allegedly drugged and then sexually assaulted by Combs aims to show a deliberate and predatory pattern. For those in the courtroom, and for those of us following from afar, it's a stark reminder of the vulnerability that can exist even in circles of perceived glamour and power. The testimony forces a confrontation with uncomfortable questions about who we elevate and what might be happening when the cameras are off and the music fades. Sean Combs, through his legal team, has consistently denied all allegations. He maintains his innocence. That is his right in the legal system. But the testimony of Victim 4 has undeniably sent shockwaves. It's one thing to read about lawsuits and allegations in print. It's another entirely to have a victim under oath recount such traumatic events. The trial is far from over, but this moment, this testimony feels pivotal. It's a raw human element in a story that has for too long been dominated by headlines about raids and legal battles. A story that now has a very personal, very painful voice at its center, demanding to be heard. This current trial with Victim 4's damning testimony doesn't exist in a vacuum. Oh no. It's more like the latest, very loud thunderclap in a storm that's been gathering for some time. Think back to March 2024. Federal agents, Homeland Security investigations no less, weren't just knocking politely. They were raiding Combs' opulent residences. Los Angeles, Miami, these weren't routine checks. These were actions reportedly linked to an ongoing federal investigation into allegations of sex trafficking. That's a heavy phrase, sex trafficking. It hangs in the air, doesn't it? Casting a long, dark shadow over the Diddy empire we thought we knew. And even before those dramatic raids, the ground was already shaking. In November 2023, Cassandra Ventura, the singer known as Cassie and Combs' former partner, filed a bombshell lawsuit. The allegations were horrific: rape, sex trafficking, and a decade of physical abuse. The lawsuit sent tremors through the entertainment world. Then, just as quickly as it appeared, it was settled. One day. Settled for an undisclosed amount. People asked questions. Why so fast? What did it mean? While a settlement isn't an admission of guilt, it certainly didn't quiet the whispers. It only made them louder, more insistent. Following Ventura's lawsuit, it was like a dam had broken. Or perhaps more accurately, like others, found the courage to step forward. Several more individuals filed civil lawsuits against Combs, more accusations, more stories of alleged sexual assault and misconduct. Some of these allegations stretched back decades, painting a picture not of isolated incidents but potentially of a long-standing pattern. Each new lawsuit added another crack to the carefully constructed facade of a music mogul, entrepreneur, and cultural icon. The sheer volume of accusations became impossible to ignore, even for an industry often too quick to look the other way when powerful figures are involved. So, when Victim 4 testified in May 2025, she wasn't just one voice crying out in the wilderness. She was adding her testimony to an already significant pile of legal challenges and deeply disturbing claims. This context is crucial. It shows that the current trial is part of a much larger unfolding saga. It's a saga that questions not just the actions of one man, but the systems and silences that might allow such alleged behavior to persist for so long. The timeline is a roadmap of warnings, and now the destination appears to be a reckoning in a court of law. It's the age-old story, isn't it? Fame, power, money, they can build empires, they can create legends, but they can also weave a very effective cloak of invisibility, a cloak that hides dark secrets. The allegations against Sean Combs, if proven true, are a chilling example of this. How many times have we seen it? Powerful figures, seemingly untouchable, surrounded by yes-men and enablers, operating in a world where scrutiny is often deflected by the sheer dazzle of their success. It's a world where access is currency, and speaking out can mean career suicide, or worse. This environment can become a breeding ground for abuse. The entertainment industry, with its glitz and glamour, has a particularly dark underbelly. The promise of stardom, the allure of proximity to power, can be potent weapons in the hands of predators. The issue of sex trafficking and abuse within these circles is not a new revelation, sadly. It's a persistent, ugly stain. Cases like this, involving such a high-profile individual, force us to look beyond the carefully curated public images. They make us question what goes on behind those closed doors, after the party's end, and in the private jets and secluded mansions. The power dynamics are so skewed, making it incredibly difficult for victims to come forward or even to process what is happening to them. Think about it. If someone wields immense influence, controlling careers, narratives, and even media access, who would a victim turn to? Who would believe them against a titan of industry? This is the suffocating reality for many. The fear of not being believed, of being blacklisted, of facing retaliation, is a powerful silencer. It's a system that, intentionally or not, often protects the powerful and isolates the vulnerable. The allegations against Combs span years, even decades, which begs the question: how many people knew, how many people suspected, and how many chose to stay silent, perhaps out of fear, perhaps out of loyalty, or perhaps out of a desire to protect their own interests? This isn't just about Diddy. His case, whatever the outcome, serves as a glaring spotlight on a systemic problem. It's about the culture that allows such alleged abuses to fester. It's about the ease with which charisma and success can be used to manipulate and control. The velvet rope that separates the stars from the public can also serve as a barrier, preventing the truth from escaping and help from getting in. Breaking down these barriers and dismantling the structures that enable abuse is a monumental task, but one that becomes more urgent with every shocking testimony and every brave voice that dares to speak out against the powerful. The impact of cases like this ripples outwards, far beyond the courtroom walls. For the victims, the journey is unimaginably arduous. Coming forward, especially against someone as globally recognized as Sean Combs, requires a type of courage that most of us can barely fathom. They relive their trauma not just once but repeatedly, to investigators, to lawyers, and then potentially to the world. They face scrutiny, doubt, and often public vilification. The emotional and psychological toll is immense, yet their bravery in speaking out is what fuels any hope for accountability and change. Their voices are the cracks of light in a very dark room. Society, too, is profoundly affected. Each high-profile case of alleged abuse forces a collective introspection. It makes us question our heroes, our icons, and the industries we celebrate. Do we value fame over integrity? Do we unknowingly enable cultures of silence and complicity? These are uncomfortable questions, but necessary ones. When allegations of this magnitude surface, they chip away at public trust. Not just in individuals, but in the systems that are supposed to protect everyone, regardless of their status or the status of their alleged abuser. It's a reminder that justice should be blind, but often it seems to peek from under the blindfold when power and influence are involved. The ongoing legal proceedings against Sean Combs are more than just one man's trial. In a broader sense, the very system of justice and accountability within the entertainment industry, and perhaps society at large, is also on trial. Will there be a thorough investigation? Will all voices be heard? Will the outcome, whatever it may be, feel like justice has been served? These are the questions hanging in the balance. The world is watching, not just for a verdict on Diddy, but for a verdict on whether power can truly be held accountable when it allegedly corrupts so absolutely. The pursuit of truth is paramount. As the trial continues, with more testimonies expected and evidence presented, the full picture will hopefully become clearer. For now, we have the stark allegations, the history of preceding legal actions, and the brave testimony of victim 4. The potential outcomes are varied, but the significance of this moment remains. It represents a critical juncture, a chance to reinforce the message that no one is above the law, and that the pursuit of justice for victims of alleged abuse is a societal imperative. The final chapter of this particular story is yet to be written, but its echoes will undoubtedly resonate for a long time to come, hopefully leading to a safer, more accountable world for everyone.